All right, we're live. Hey, everybody. This is the first of hopefully many general conversations that I'll be having with people who are passionate about producing quality things that take risk. The idea behind this whole podcast or video blog, for that matter, is to make sure that it's to kind of interview people who are doing things that are risky, that are beneficial to both them and maybe people around them, but are also people doing things that are just a little out of the ordinary. They're not abiding by the standard, go to college, get the standard corporate job, and sit in that forever and progress on up the ladder. These are people taking risks, trying new things, and in various circumstances. And the idea behind this is to understand why. With that, this is Katie Delgado. Katie has been a friend of mine for quite some time now. Katie lives in Boca Raton, Florida, and she is the owner slash CEO slash God knows what else of a variety of things, which we'll all get into. Her primary company right now is Isola, but she's got 50 other things in her mind at all points in time. So I'll introduce Katie real quick, and then we'll keep it going from there. Hey, what's up?
Hey, what's going on?
Doing all right, thanks. I didn't want to get too in depth, but we'll get into it as the conversation progresses. But what I wanted to do primarily was, more than else, if you could just give people a quick background of you, of what Isola is, of what you're trying to do with that, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, so I lived in Jamaica with my husband and my daughter, who was 10 months at the time. We moved to Jamaica for my husband's career to help his father, actually his father's career to help him with his business. And when we lived there, my mother-in-law she had run spas for 30 plus years, and she was making a coffee scrub in her kitchen. And she literally would be in her kitchen with like Tupperware, mixing sugar and coffee and oils every night for the spa for her treatments. So I used the scrub while we lived there, and I was blown away. Loved it. And I said, we have to do something with this. We can't just, use it on the treatments in your spa. We have to do more with this, because I was a business major, and I said, this is unbelievable. So we started making vats of it, huge containers in the kitchen. And we started selling it to the hotels and spas in Montego Bay. And we got into hotels like the Ritz and the Hyatt, or actually it was the Hilton at the time. Or it was the Ritz at the time, and then we all got into the Hilton and some other big chains over there. And about a year later, we moved back to the States because I got pregnant with my son, and we came back to the States to have him. And when we moved back, I wanted to continue this business. So I created a name, which is Isola, which means island in Italian, because I'm half Italian, and it was formed on the island. And I kind of revamped the recipe a little bit. I added some new essential oils. I created another body scrub. And little by little, we just started to grow. And I came up with a little PayPal website with one product on it. And it worked for a few months. And then I said, this isn't going to work. We need more. So I developed more products. We added a body lotion. And we added, little by little, we were adding more and more. And before I knew it, we had a business here in the States. And I also took a burlap bag, because burlap is big in Jamaica. I was trying to stay with the island theme. And I monogrammed them. And I said, you know what, let's have this whole beach theme. So we have these body scrubs from the island. Let's have these beach bags. Let's kind of keep this like island girl theme going. So we took these burlap bags, monogrammed them, and they took off. They went on Good Morning America. They kind of blew up a little bit. So the business has been good, but it's still small. But that's
No, but the idea is, more than that, for me, the curiosity is the fact that you're actually doing something that's, again, outside of the norm. And just for everybody watching, or otherwise, I will be putting links to Isola on the website, so you can obviously check that out later on, or something like that. So to see exactly what the products are and what she's doing. My bigger question beyond all of that, independent of the fact that obviously you started a business and you found, in essence, you were in Jamaica, and this kind of came, it was just a collection of great circumstances, I guess, in the sense that you saw this and you saw an idea there. But more so than that, my bigger question, I guess, is why. And I ask why because you have, as you mentioned, you had your daughter. You have now a son as well.
Yeah.
This obviously takes a truckload of time and everything like
Yeah.
that. So why not do something more
Well,
traditional?
I okay. I mean, first of all, I was never a good student. So,
Mhm.
meaning I was lazy. I didn't like school. I was a C. I mean, I got some B's. I think I might have gotten A minus at one point. And I didn't like just sitting at a desk. I'm a Pisces, so my mind is always going. I'm like a dreamer. And for me, sitting at a desk at school, sitting at a desk at work, it was boring for me. I wanted to do more. So for me, you know, I worked. I've worked my whole life. I've worked since I was probably 12 years old, at being a counselor, a waitress, you name it. And I did internships. And when I got out of college, I lived in Boston. I lived in New York City. I did the whole finance thing, the hedge funds, and I was bored. I hated it. So you know, I came to Florida. I came back to Florida, and I got my hands a little wet in the real estate business, which was a little more exciting for me because I was a little more on my own and doing some sales, but still it just wasn't my own. I didn't love it. So when this body scrub came to me and I knew I could do something with it and I really believed in it, I just took the chance. And you know, I think you have to take chances out there. I think you have to do it what you love. I mean, some people love sitting at a desk. Some people that's what they like. They like routine. They like waking up. They like having their coffee, going to work, coming home. You know, it's very, for me, it didn't work for me. It didn't interest me at all
So
to do
now,
that.
when you're doing this and obviously taking that risk, if you will, but obviously you're fulfilled in the fact that you're
Yeah.
doing it. This is I so Isola's been around for how long now?
Um, 4.5 years. About four. I think this spring will be 5 years. So about 4.5 years.
Okay, so in the 4.5 years you've been doing this,
Yeah.
when somebody says, "What do you consider success in that realm?" So I say you're doing it 4.5 years, and I say that obviously you you've been on GMA, you've done a bunch of stuff like that, etc. And
Yeah.
again, it doesn't be financial, but for you, like
Yeah.
what does the word success mean? And maybe it's not even
Well,
Isola related.
yeah. So for me, I mean, the number one thing that it has given me is, as hard as I work and I'm up until all hours of the night sometimes, it still allows me to be a mom and be with the kids. I'm there for them. I'm there to pick them up from school. I take them to activities. So it does give me some freedom, even though there are times where I'm crammed with work. I still really, for the most part, get to see them and spend time with them. So that's in my mind, that's kind of like a success. Like I've succeeded in that role of being a mom. But you know, it's just really cool for me when I have I come up with a lot of the creations right here in my house, in my kitchen, where I take some different scents and I mix them together and I create something. And it's really cool to see something that I've created come to fruition, and for people to like it. You know, for it's not like I have a factory who's producing all of this stuff and and saying, here, you know, this is what we have in mind for Isola. And I'm smelling it and saying, yeah, sure, let's go with it. I mean, I'm really creating everything myself for the most part. So that's very cool for me.
No, I mean, again, like I don't have the creative knack that you have, I guess, in that sense, as far as for doing
Yeah,
this sort of things. I
yeah,
do own some products, and I have definitely gifted some products as well.
yeah,
But I mean, for me, it's a matter of just I look at I look at the I mean, for example, the same reason I'm trying to do this is one, to kind of pick people's brains and understand, you know, the various whys, and just to understand that, or to kind of express the fact that you don't have to, the standard corporate 9 to 5, the standard whatever general situation you've been in, the
right.
fact that there is a weird positive to that. So I want to go back to what you were talking about by way of Jamaica. You guys went to Jamaica 4 years ago, whatever it was, right, when you had your daughter at the time,
Yeah.
and you go to Jamaica. You're not from Jamaica. I'm from Jamaica. Your husband's from Jamaica, which is how I know you. You're not from Jamaica. The idea of leaving a
No.
lifestyle that you've lived in by way of New Jersey,
Yeah.
Florida, Boca Raton, etc., and going, hey, I'm going to up myself and go to Jamaica for however long. And I believe at that time you guys
Yeah.
didn't know how long.
Right.
What was that like?
Correct. I mean, it was wild because, you know, I visited a number of times, obviously, and we had family there because my husband's parents are there. But So there was a sense of comfort. It wasn't like we were picking up and going someplace completely strange and random. But, it's a third world country, and, you drive on the opposite side of the street, and you drive on the opposite side of the car, and just, your day-to-day life is completely different. Obviously, you know that. And just going, I would go to the grocery store. I mean, there wasn't much to do. So, I didn't have Target, and I didn't have my little day-to-day things that I'm used to doing in the States, grabbing a slice of pizza or whatever it is. It just doesn't have that in Jamaica. So it was definitely an adjustment, but I think it was an awesome experience because at the time when my daughter was 10 months, she turned a year out there and she spent her whole first year there. She played with flowers and hoses. There was no toys, and it's still very chill, very laid back. And I think there's something to say about that. I think it's really cool.
So you go to Jamaica, and obviously that's a different experience for you overall. But the experience turned out. I mean, obviously your company was fostered off of that experience itself. But beyond that, like for you coming, when you're talking culturally, from somebody who's lived in the States your whole life, Jersey, etc., been to Italy, and so on and so forth.
Shocking.
Yeah,
it's a culture shock for
Enlighten
sure.
me on that. Like, what is that like for somebody like you going to wherever?
It was I grew up in nice towns in the States. I grew up in Boca Raton, Florida, in Montclair, New Jersey, in areas where you're pretty safe. You're kind of in a bubble. And I didn't grow up in an affluent home, or my parents weren't driving Mercedes or anything, but my surroundings were safe. And I was in private school growing up, and I didn't really have anything to worry about. So in Jamaica, it's different. I mean, we were once in a market area, and a guy pulled a gun, and we had to literally find our way to the back of a store, and stay there until it was clear. So for me, I definitely had to step outside my bubble and bring and accept that and bring that into my life. But it's interesting because as much as that kind of stuff happens in Jamaica with the violence and the crime with the local versus local and the drugs and all that kind of stuff. On the other end, raising kids there is pretty safe because you don't have the violence that you have in America with the guns and the school shootings and the movie theater shootings and all that kind of stuff. So, it was an adjustment for me, but it was, yeah.
So is it too outlandish to say that you actually appreciate having raised your children down there?
Yes.
Well, for a period of time anyway?
Yes, and I would do it again.
Now, but when we went down the first time, was that even your thought process? When you first got there, you're like, this isn't happening. What am I doing
here?
here?
It took me a long time. I mean, there were definitely times when I was pregnant. So I was cranky. And I didn't, there were times where I just want to go home. I want to go back to the States. I want my creature comforts. I want, but sometimes it takes a situation when you move out of it and walk away from it and you realize, what it had to offer and how wonderful it was.
So would you recommend people step out of their comfort zones when it comes to something like that?
100%. 100%. Otherwise you don't live. You don't get to know anything. I mean, I said I would pick up right now with the kids and my husband and literally just travel around the world if I could. Just, that's it. Homeschool them, travel, show them different things and experience different cultures. And yeah, for sure.
All right. So now you're in the States and you're in Boca, which is a lovely area as well, which is a complete opposite of Jamaica.
Totally. Yeah.
And you're, the minivan family, etc. But now you've seen both sides now. So now you had your daughter in Jamaica. You have your son primarily in the U.S. the whole time.
Right.
Are you fearful at all in the U.S. or does that not exist because it's Boca? I mean, no. And again, I'm not a parent. I'm literally asking because I'm curious. As a non-parent, I don't think about things like that.
The United States is not, it's not what it used to be. So there's definitely fear here. I mean, there's fear anywhere you go, but you have to, I guess you have to make the best of it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I would go back to Jamaica. What makes me the most nervous of Jamaica now having children is, God forbid there is a medical emergency. That's what worries me more than what you see in, a medical emergency. That would be my biggest fear, to be honest with you. If it wasn't for that, where you gave me a crystal ball saying, don't worry about that, that's going to be fine, I would do it. I would go back, or I would go to another place like Jamaica and have that experience.
All right, so let me ask you this question then. Again, playing back on the Jamaica thing,
Yeah.
because I'm very curious about the cultural dynamic. Now, I happen to have grown up in Jamaica, so I left Jamaica
Uh-huh.
when I was 15. Excuse
Okay.
me, and then lived in Jersey, etc. So I kind of moved around. So I did the opposite of what you did,
Yeah.
right? So I had
Yeah.
that from childhood. Your husband and I had the same kind of childhood as far as growing up in Jamaica.
Right.
With that being said, now I look at it this way, and you go, now culturally, based on the times we're
Yeah.
in right now,
Yeah.
you're in a multicultural family.
Yes.
I mean, multicultural. You guys are all mixed up.
Everything.
So Jamaica versus the U.S. by way of that, like, did you notice any difference by way of treatment, people looking at you a certain way or whatever? And you may not have seen any difference at all. I'm just curious. Was there any?
Yeah, no, I never felt that I stuck out. I never felt that people in Jamaica judged me, or my skin color, or, in Jamaica, obviously, like people are all mixed up as well. And I feel like everything is kind of accepted over there. I think here people stand out more, even though you would think it would be the opposite because there's so many cultures in America and there's so many people coming here and immigrating here and whatever. But there's obviously a lot of racism that still exists here. So I actually did not feel. I guess when I first got there, just to be transparent, I was just nervous in general.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, I'm
Why'd you
going
not
by
be? Yeah.
myself in a third world country to, I'm driving here, I'm taking my daughter to this place or that place. But yeah, it's just, you just have to get used to it. And then, everyone treated me really nicely there. Nothing bad to say.
Now, still playing the same angle.
Yeah.
Do you have to? Do you have to? Being in the U.S. and being the fact that this society in general becomes one that's very much of everybody's got to fit into a certain bucket.
Yeah.
Are you black, white, mixed, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
But there's a certain
Right.
bucket apparently that we feel the need to put people into.
Yeah.
You've lived your childhood, you're fine, husband as well. Do you feel you have to put your kids in some kind of demographic? Do they belong to a demo? Do you have to
No,
identify?
they definitely don't belong to any.
But do they have to identify? Is that a question that ever comes up with them?
Yeah, we put other for them. We
But-
literally,
Do they understand what other means? Do they care, I guess? They're too young to care, but do you care, I guess?
Yeah, no, I think it's awesome. I think things are changing, times are changing so much that I feel like our generation and our children's generation, I think it's totally changing the world right now for the good. I think our grandparents and even our parents were stuck in a time where, you married your kind. If you married outside of your kind, you were really a rebel. Like you were really just living on the edge. And I think that's all changing now. And I think it's awesome. I think that, it shouldn't matter what you look like or what your religion is. And I think it's just, I think it's super cool. My kids, I think they're fortunate because they have so much in them. They have Italian, they have Jewish, they have Russian blood, Polish blood. I don't even know. They have Jamaican, Puerto Rican, they have everything in them. So I think it's cool and they'll learn about everything growing up. We'll teach them everything.
So when you see stuff on the news by way of I'm speaking on current events, I guess,
Yeah.
you've got police shootings of black kids. You've got,
Mm-hmm.
you've got general racial unrest.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And obviously, and again, in Boca, I don't see this as being a problem or anything like that. But just as a parent, as a mom, as a person, do any of that, like, does any of that stuff come into your mind by way of that could be my kid, or you're just like, or is it, or are you lucky enough to be in Boca where it's not that concern? And I don't.
Yeah,
again,
it's concerning everywhere. It's concerning everywhere. It's, it's definitely hard to be a black male right now.
I'll give you
for sure.
That part's again.
Yeah, that's no matter. Yeah, that's difficult. But I think it's scary everywhere right now. I think you don't know. You just don't know what's going to happen. People. It's just cruel out there right now. So, yeah.
Let's move on to something a little more uppity.
You worry about it everywhere.
Well, and that's kind of the, and I guess again, as somebody who's literally, my personal concern is sadly undriven by anybody else's. Like I'm not looking
Yeah.
after the well-being of
Right.
kids or anything like that. So my situation is
Right.
a little different. But
Yeah.
so so put it this way then, right? So moving on to a topic that's a little less grim.
Yeah.
You've got two kids now. You
Yeah.
and your husband actually both operate in a very non-traditional manner by way of
Yeah.
occupation, lifestyle, etc. What do you what I mean, do you care if your kids go along the same freedom path, if you will, by way of saying, "Hey, do your own thing and be you," or
No.
like, I mean, how does
Yeah.
that work? Like, how does
I want
one
them to.
instill that?
Right. Like, how do we say, you should go be a doctor or a lawyer or
Exactly. Or
something
do you say
when
that?
I think that we would try to teach them both, show them both sides. I mean, you definitely have more stability if you go to grad school and you go to school and for a specific profession, for something specific that that a paycheck's going to come to you every week or every 2 weeks. And I think there's something to be said about that I don't disagree with. I think we would show them the other side also of um, picking a profession or picking something that you love and gives you the ability to see your family. I definitely know people and have friends who don't see their husbands, who don't have those family times together, who they come home from work, the kids are sleeping. So I think it's important to do what you love, and I think that everything works differently for different people. But yeah, if our kids grow up and they want to do something that's a little outside the box, a little more creative, something that they really have a passion for, we will 100% support them, and vice versa. If they want to take the more, maybe one of our kids is just very structured and they don't want to take chances, and they just say, listen, we just want to, we don't want to take the chance. We just want structure. We want a paycheck every week, and we want some, more solidity. Then we would support that as well.
Now, your family itself, like your dad's been with the same company for a while, so
Yeah, still working.
he's not as uh, as much of a free spirit in the career vibe as you are and your brother.
Right.
Um,
Right, but he was always around for us because when we were growing up, we actually moved to Florida when I was 4. And the reason why we did that is so my parents would have um, a better lifestyle. So when we were living in New Jersey, my dad was commuting and my mom was commuting to New York City for work every day. We were home with a nanny. They did on the weekends it was fine. It was normal. They weren't working weekends, but the weekdays we didn't see much of them, as when we were very young. So we actually moved here for that reason. My dad came here to start his own business, and they were always around for us, always. My mom stopped working when they moved to Florida. My dad continued working, but for himself, locally, like 5 minutes down the road. And they were at every game, every one of my brother's baseball games and basketball. They were at all of my horse shows, um, and then in high school, my dad, I mean, Florida's tough, and he's in the TV industry. So we had to move back to New Jersey because after 12 years of being in Florida, it wasn't working financially for them. So we had to move back, but that's the reason why we came here. So I guess it's just instilled in me to, raise your kids with being around for them, being there.
See, and that's wow. All right, so that's and obviously now in Florida you have well, I guess the benefit of going to school in Florida, and this is I can speak to this for myself as well,
Yeah.
is you end up meeting a lot of people from a lot of different countries,
Yeah.
and by default end up going to visit people in a lot of different cultures to kind of continue
Yeah.
that cultural expanse. So I'm assuming your
Yeah.
kids have all done that as well and gone and seen and experienced and continue
Yeah,
to
I mean,
experience.
we were just in Aruba visiting our friends who
Mm-hmm.
and when we went there for a week, and I said I don't want a hotel, I don't want to go to the nicest restaurants, I want to live like a local. So our kids and us, I mean, even as grown-ups, we were experiencing this amazing culture and place and island as locals because we stayed with them. We went to the gym with them. We went to the supermarket with them. We went to not the popular beaches, but a little off the beaten road beaches. And so, yeah, and I think that's really important. That's why I would love to travel with the kids and show them those things. I mean, yes, it's nice to stay in nice hotels. I'm actually a little bit of a hotel snob. So when I stay in a hotel, when I stay in a hotel, it's going to be nice. But I think definitely experiencing a culture firsthand, like with the locals, is the way to go. So yeah, we're trying to get the kids to have those experiences as well.
All right. So then I'll ask you, just end up taking a bunch of your time. So just kind of wrap things up
No, it's
itself.
fine.
You have, all right. So you've got your company. You've got a bunch of different things on the side. What's next for Miss Delgado?
Well, right now for Isola, we're expanding. There's a partner now involved, and she came on board about 6 months ago.
Okay.
So now I have a partner, which is great because I now get to expand this amazing brand, and we have some more funds, and we have two people working, two heads together, and she's also from the islands. So we kind of have that groove going. And so Isola, my head right now is really in Isola because there's so much potential and there's so much that can be done with it. And there's so much that's going to be done with it. New products, new packaging, a new website.
Well, what is the website, by the way? Just so everybody knows.
Isolabody.com. ISOLABODY.com.
There you go.
Isola Body.
Yeah.
And that'll stay the same. But we're going to get a new website. We're going to, we're really just expanding the line. So it's super exciting. I'm so happy to have her on board. And it's just really good things for the brand. So, we already have the national recognition from being on Good Morning America, being on the Katie Couric show. We were in Henry Bendel's in New York City a few years ago. So it's a small business, but we are definitely growing. So that's really where my head's at the moment. But I'm always thinking.
She is.
There's always something else.
Well,
so.
I guess that's okay. Let's go there real quick, and we'll end on that note.
Okay.
Do you have? And I say this because I'm somewhere in the same vein. Are you just simply not content? I guess is your motto always saying, "Hey, what else can I do?" Or what else should I do? How does that work?
Content. No, it's not that I'm not content, but because there are some days where I say this is ridiculous. Like between work and the kids and going to the grocery store and there's just not enough time in the day. And I don't remember the last time. Actually, I do remember the last time. I was going to say, I don't remember the last time I sat down to watch a TV show, like in the middle of the day. Yeah. But I do because I just hurt my ribs. So I was actually home for a few weeks watching TV, and I was going completely crazy. But the truth is sometimes what I miss about Jamaica and the islands is that laid-back lifestyle where it's okay to sit down, for an hour in the middle of the day and do nothing. Whereas here in the States, you feel like you're constantly needing to do something. So it's good to have a balance, and that's what I'm really working on. But no, it's not that I don't feel content. I just feel that I guess I'm more creative than I am. I don't know what the other word is, but my mind is just always going. So
you're pretty much happy when creating. So if you're not creating, you're just not as fulfilled.
If there's an idea that comes to my head, whether it's for Isola, whether it's for, I don't know, anything else, inventing a Post-it or whatever, anything, I just feel that I have to voice it and I have to do something about it, and I have to at least share it with people who might also have the same interest and might want to act on it with me because, it's fun. It's fun for me.
Awesome.
I'm enjoying it.
Well, continued success. I will be seeing you soon enough anyway. Thank you for being the guinea pig in this scenario. And let's see, I'm sure we'll have another conversation in the future about where Isola has gone and what's next for you at that point.
Awesome.
But thanks for the time. Enjoy Florida and Boca, and we'll talk soon.
Yeah, it's raining right now. I'm outside. I'm looking at the rain.
It's 9,000 degrees in New York, so you're doing a little better. Go sit in the AC and relax.
Thank you.
Talk soon.
Bye.
Thanks, Katie.
Okay.
Bye.